Over the past few years, I've built a six-figure cold email agency, helping businesses book more calls and close more deals. During that time, I've sent millions of emails and I've tested all sorts of different angles, tactics, verticals, copy, offers, and much more. I've consumed content from industry leaders, studied other methods, and have seen a very common metric that people obsess over for absolutely no reason. And the worst part, it's a mistake that I see people posting about and talking about every single day. I'm talking about open rates. I'll admit, back in 2023, I used to obsess over this metric. I'd celebrate when I saw high open rates, thinking I was crushing it. I'd spend hours tweaking subject lines, trying to squeeze a few more percentage points. But here's the shocking truth that I discovered. Open rates are not just meaningless, they're actively misleading you and sabotaging your cold email campaigns. In this video, I'm gonna show you how open rates are the biggest lie in cold email. I'll break down, 1, how open rates actually work, 2, why open rates are completely unreliable, 3, how focusing on open rates can actually hurt you, and 4, most importantly, what money generating metrics actually look like. This is the video that I wish someone made for me years ago. It would have saved me countless hours and a whole lot of money. So if you're serious about using email to grow your business, pay close attention, because by the end of this video, you'll be able to avoid this mistake and start seeing real results with your campaign. Let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so let's go through how a tracking pixel actually works. How do you detect that someone opens up an email? It's pretty simple, very high level overview is first and foremost, what happens is number 1, a link slash pixel is embedded into an email, okay? So this could be done through a white image. This could be done so many different types of ways that a link or pixel can be embedded into an email. Now, what happens is, hypothetically speaking, now this is if it works in a very perfect world, is whenever someone actually opens that email, quote unquote, right? They hypothetically open it. What happens is that if you've ever opened up an email and it says like the images can't be previewed, you have to download them, stuff like that, because it's sent from someone who's not trusted. What happens is that whenever you open up an email, it's essentially downloading the contents of that email. So whenever this link or this pixel is actually opened in the email, it quote unquote downloads it, right? So it shows as an open because there was an action that was taken on the link or pixel, right? So hypothetically, once the email is opened, then it shows as an actual open. And then the more times that someone, hypothetically speaking, actually goes in and opens up that email, it'll show as an open every single time. So if, and this is going to go on to a point that I'm going to make down below, if I open this email 3 times, right, it's going to show opened as 3 times. So you might be thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, this is incredible. This person's opened up my email 3 times. They're so interested in what I'm sending them. But I promise you that that is not the case, and I'm about to show you why. So if we actually scroll down, I'm going to go through some of the top email service providers. Obviously, not all of them are listed here. I have just the main ones here. So if you don't know, you should. It's Gmail and Outlook. Now, there's Zoho Mail, there's Proton Mail, there's Yahoo Mail, there's all these other different email service providers. So the information that I'm about to provide to you pretty much stays the same across any single email service provider out there, any major email service provider out there. So what happens? You send an email, and these providers right here, they don't know who you are in the sense of the person's environment that you're sending to, right? So if you're sending me a cold email and we've never spoken before, I don't know who you are, you're not, well, like we don't have any correspondence, any back and forthness, you're not in my contact books, nothing like that. My individual, let's just use Google here, for example, my workspace, my environment is going to essentially list you as someone who I just simply don't know, right? So that's rule of thumb number 1. Now, rule of thumb number 2 is before you even enter into my mailbox, my spam folder, anything at all whatsoever. These do a really good job at something called a mail filter, also known, whoops, spelled that wrong, also known as a spam filter. Essentially, think of this as a virtual shield, right? So they are literally, I don't know if I'm even going to get this right. This is my shield right here, right? So they have a shield, and then there's literally a sword here, and this is the knight in shining armor right here, right? These are what this mail and spam filters do. They are essentially protecting you against anything that could be marked as spam, as phishing, as harmful, as whatever, right? So these filters are trained to detect things like keywords, links, phrases, detect harmful domains that are on blacklist, email accounts, workspaces that could be compromised, literally anything, attachments, PDF files, all sorts of stuff. Because what happens is that hackers can come in and they can embed wrongful things. People can come in who want to spam you or scam you or anything like that. Long story short, there's all these different people who are trying to go out there and compromise you via email. And my cold email to you doesn't necessarily stand out too far from the pack against someone who is trying to get you to send them gift cards or bank transfers or make you download a PDF or click on a fishy link or something like that, right? So we're all competing with the same exact filter here. So whenever you do send someone an email, it has to go through these mail and spam filters first before you're even allowed into my inbox. So it's going into this virtual cloud, this virtual sandbox environment out here, right? So before you're even let in, you have to go through these mail and spam filters. Now, what happens if I'm embedding a tracking link or a tracking pixel inside of that email? And it doesn't even have to be a tracking pixel. It could be my calendar link. It could be an attachment. It could be an image. It could be a brochure, whatever. The first thing that Google and Outlook and all these other email service providers are going to do is that they're going to check it for any type of harmful activity, harmful links. They're essentially going to make sure that you're not a hacker, that you're not trying to get into someone's environment or compromise them. Now, the issue with that, that's a great thing that these mail and spam filters are doing. But the issue with that is that they are pre-opening a link, right? So in order for them to do this, they have to literally open up the link. So they're downloading that pixel that you're sending. They're downloading that attachment, that they're opening up that Calendly link that you're sending. They're making sure that it's not leading the consumer, which is me. If you're sending me a cold email, you're making sure that you're not leading the consumer, me, down a dangerous road. So there's open number one. So if you send an email and if you get an open, here's your first open, right? Now, hypothetically speaking, let's just say that you do make it past Gmail and Outlook and they don't even open up your email, right? Let's just say that they just somehow bypass this mail filter, which is possible, happens all the time. Let's go down to second option. So second option here, and another thing I actually want to touch base on real quick. You can tell if Gmail and Outlook and all these other options are actually opening up your email and it's not a real human being. If you look at the time that the email was sent compared to the time that the email is open, chances are that if an email was sent at 12 o'clock p.m. and it was open at 12:01 p.m. or 12:02 p.m., it probably wasn't the individual that you sent it to. Now, it's a possibility it could be, but the chances of them just waiting around, waiting for your email to click on it and open it, slim to none. So let's go down here. Now, there's some people on top of what Gmail and Outlook and all these other companies are using, there's third-party spam filters. So we've got companies like Barracuda, right? We got companies like Mimecast. We've got companies like Titan HQ. And their job, right, is to provide more security. So they're providing more security on top of what Gmail and Outlook and Zoho Mail and all these other providers are providing you. And what you can do with these third-party filters is that you can go in and you can get really nitty-gritty with the rules and regulations of your entire mail environment, right? So this can cause another open, which I'm about to spell another wrong. Let's go here. Okay, so this can literally charge another open, because what's happening is, just like up here with Outlook and Gmail, they also have to open up your email, your links, your images, your attachments, to make sure that it's not harmful, it's not suspicious. They have to essentially open it up to run down a checklist to make sure that you check everything off the list, right? So now, hypothetically speaking, we're at 2 opens right now, right? And this is before I've even gotten the email. So you could hypothetically be seeing that the person opened up your email twice, but they could have never even seen your email. It may have not even been allowed in their environment, right? It could have bounced, or it could have landed in their spam folder, but it's still showing as 2 opens. So give you the benefit of a doubt. Let's just say that you somehow bypass Gmail and Outlook filters, and you somehow have bypassed any third-party spam filters. Here's a third reason as to why open rates literally don't matter. You've got general mailboxes, and this happens all the time, okay? Someone leaves, right? Someone gets promoted. Maybe they're not in that position anymore. Maybe sometimes their email changes, whatever the case might be, you have bad data, whatever. So sometimes there's general mailboxes. And what is a general mailbox? These are things like info at, support at, and vice versa. I mean, I can just keep going down the list. You kind of get the general idea here. So info at, support at, etc. So let's just say that I'm sending an email over to Susie at abc.com, right? But Susie no longer works there. So what they've done at abc.com, at ABC Company, what they do is they've rerouted Susie's email to go over to one of these mailboxes, right? This is just one instance. So they've rerouted Susie's mailbox. It goes over to info at, support at, and let's just say that it is a very general type of mailbox, okay? So these are people who, there's no telling how many people actually have access to these inboxes. There could be 10 people, there could be 20 people, there could be 1 person, there could be 5 people, there could be all sorts of stuff, right? And let's just say that Mr. Johnson over here, who has literally not your decision maker at all, not your ICP, doesn't even work in the department where this is relevant, opens up the email that you just sent to Susie and just deletes it, or opens it, or whatever, trashes it, spams it, however you want to kind of phrase it. This is what happens. Again, the open rate didn't matter because it didn't even go to the right person in the first place, and it literally got routed to somewhere else that you don't even know about because you think it's Susie, but it's not actually Susie. It's just that her email got forwarded over to one of these general mailboxes, and someone else opened it, and you have no idea, right? But let's say that you're on a lead list. You're pulling from Apollo. You're pulling from really like any type of lead database out there, Zoom Info, etc. And let's just say that the lead information you get is one of these mailboxes. Again, it's the same instance. You don't even know who is opening up your email. You don't know who it is. There's no way to actually track who is opening up your email. So again, it literally doesn't matter. It doesn't support you at all whatsoever. But I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt again, okay? So let's say that you somehow passed all the mail filters. You are not landing in the general mailbox. I'm going to give you a fourth instance as to why these open rates are completely skewed. And this is very common. Assistants and VAs, okay? There's so many people that have other people managing their inboxes. All the time, they have some sort of assistant or VA in here, right? So you've got this person who's getting literally probably hundreds of emails either a day or a week, and they're pretty much told to only respond or only handle very certain emails, right? Most people I know, in fact, probably all of them, that are using an assistant or VA to manage their inboxes are told to not forward sales emails, right? So, again, you think that Susie at abc.com is opening up the email, but it's actually not her. Susie's not actually opening it. It's an assistant or VA, but you don't know this, right? Because it looks like it's getting open from Susie, but it's actually getting open from an assistant or VA. And so what's happening is that you're running the risk of them reporting your email as spam, blocking you, deleting you, whoops, that's a B, deleting your email, and so forth. So what happens, again, when you get reported as spam, when you get blocked, when your email gets deleted, all that stuff, whoever their email service provider is, it's learning that they don't want to communicate with you, right? So when this person, Susie over here, when she's in a sequence and she's on like a 2, 3, 4, 5-step sequence, right? Every single time that one of these things happens, right? Let's just say it happened on the first email. Well, on the second of the sequence, what do you think is going to happen? The third, what do you think is going to happen? The fourth, what do you think is going to happen? The fifth, what do you think is going to happen? You're just going to end up burning that account, burning that domain, burning the account or the domain. You're just burning it, right? So this assistant VA blocking your emails, spamming them, whatever, it's just not helping you, right? So let's just say that you're still not convinced that the open rates or the click-through rates, this video just not convince you that they're just still important. It's still an important metric. Here's my Hail Mary throw at you. Open rates are a non-money generating metric. I have a screenshot of a report here, right? So we can see the leads contacted, we can see the leads opened, we can see clicked if they were putting links in there, we can see replied, and we can see positive rates. Now, these reply rates and these positive rates are healthy. However, keep in mind, number one, we don't know, and this is a random screenshot, this is not one of my campaigns, but we don't know if they're including out of office responses in this reply rate, so it could be completely skewed. We don't know how many of these are automated response rates. We don't know how many of these are going to a general mailbox and getting added as like a ticket or something like that and getting a quote unquote response. We don't know any of that. So this metric could be skewed. And over here, we don't know actually how many hypothetically are actually legit. 6% positive response rate. I think that's kind of low, but whatever, right? You've contacted 1,026 leads. There have been 1,959 opens. Now, how does that make sense? It's because they're being opened multiple times, right, by the same lead, which literally proves my point at the top that it could be getting hit by different spam filters, different individuals of the organization, general mail bosses, etc. But you have to look here at, let's just say there's 1,026 emails sent. We'll do some quick math. Divided by 13. That means that you are getting one positive response every 78 emails. So that's actually not that bad. However, again, these metrics could be skewed. But what I'm trying to prove here is that how does this number actually contribute to making your campaigns even better in the future, right? Because if the whole point of having a successful campaign is the reply rate and the positive response rate, how does the open rate actively contribute to improving these numbers? Right? Now you might say, oh, well, the more opens I get, the more replies, the more positive responses. That's false, because it's the contents of the email that are actually getting the replies and the responses and the leads and the meeting bookings and the conversations happening. It's the hook, it's the body, it's the CTA, it's the value proposition, it's the relevancy, it's everything else, right? That's what's actually contributing as a money generating metric. Open rates, literally, if I look at this, don't tell me anything about how to increase responses across the board. It doesn't tell me anything. It's not telling me how to actually increase these numbers. Now, could we assume, hypothetically speaking, if we could get this number, right, to 90%, do these numbers increase? Quite possibly. However, how do you get these metrics up even higher by themselves? So say I can never go past a 62.67% open rate. How do I get more juice out of my squeeze over here? Again, this is money, right? These metrics right here are money. If I can never go past 62%, how do I optimize this over here? You don't look at open rates. You look at the actual contents of the lead list, of the actual copy, of the relevancy, of the CTAs. You actually break down what you're sending to people, and at the end of the day, nothing ever points back to the open rate. It literally does not matter. There's no campaign that we've ever improved, ever, just by looking at the open rate. In fact, we've never looked at the open rate to improve any campaign that we do, and we send over 250,000 emails a month. So it doesn't make sense to track any sort of open rate or click-through rate, because there's so many false positives out there. There's more cons than pros. There's more bad that can go wrong instead of good. It doesn't make sense. If you focus on getting more juice out of your squeeze and the reply rates and the booking rates and the conversations flowing, you will learn how to be a better copywriter. You'll learn how to make better offers. You'll learn all of those things. So I really encourage you to stop tracking open rates and start only focusing on the actual contents of the email, how relevant your offer and copy is to the actual lead list that you're sending to, and are those lead lists qualified leads, or are you just going after kind of a spray and pray method? Promise you guys, open rates do not matter. You'll see deliverability go up. You'll see much better results when you focus on actual money generating metrics.